What's up, YouTube gang? Thank y'all and welcome back to another video. So I know it's been a minute since we posted on this channel, and I know y'all probably thinking like, where is the June family? Where have we been? Why haven't we been posting? Have we just abandoned this channel? And the answer is no, we did not abandon it. It has been a minute since we posted. Right now I'm at work, so I did have to go back to like a regular 9 to 5 for a bit. And I'm going to explain all that to you shortly. So by the topic of this video, you already know what we are going to be talking about: living with idiopathic intracranial hypertension. So it's been probably about 2 to 3 months since we posted on this channel, which would have been right around the time that I got diagnosed. And for those who don't know what that is basically when you have a large amount of fluid built up on your spine and on your brain. And unfortunately that is what I have. That is what I've been diagnosed with. So yeah. So, and of course the second portion of the title was also titled for unknown seizure disorder. The unknown seizure disorder is not for me. Unfortunately, that is something that my youngest daughter Ariana, that you all seen on this channel before, the baby, that is what she has. Right now we are still trying to figure out the why is she having like all of these seizures and things of that nature. So for both of us to be going through some serious medical conditions, we had to completely pull back from posting and bring it off social media and just kind of like handle a lot of stuff in-house. If you follow me or my husband on our social media pages, you may have seen us do a couple posts advising of my medical condition back in July. And then a couple seizures that Ari has had since this all started just this past February. So just to kind of take you on a rundown of what me and baby girl have been going through, starting with Ariana. Since February, starting in February, it's February 17th, Ariana started having seizures while she was in school. It came out of nowhere. Like seriously, it came out of nowhere. We thought that when the first one happened, it was just going to be the one and then we were going to be done. No, that didn't happen. So basically she just kept having seizures like once a month. At least once a month she breaks out and she has a full body convulsion type seizure where her whole body just starts shaking. And unfortunately she's been to doctors, she's had testing, and we still can't figure out the underlying problem. And here it is October that she's been going through this, and I think we are up to seizure 13 that she's had since this past February. All of her tests are coming back clear. We're still fighting it, and we're still trying to help her through it, still trying to explain to her the best way we can, seeing that she is only 5 of the things that she is going through. Like I said, she is only 5, so it's only but so much we can tell her. There's only but so much that she can remember after the seizures have passed. But yeah, so we just try to comfort her the best way. We try to explain her situation to her the best way. Me and her father, all of the family are supporting her, and just trying to just be there the best way that we can, because it's a learning thing for all of us, because it's nothing that either one of us have ever been through with any of our kids. So we are going to continue to keep fighting it and keep trying to figure out right, and until then she's going to stay on her medication that tends to be working for now. So yeah. So also with me, so to get into mine, since we know my what's going on with me. Me being diagnosed, I was diagnosed July 8th of this year. How did I find out what it was or what was happening with me with the intracranial hypertension? Basically, one day I noticed that my vision was starting to change. It wasn't as clear as it normally was, and I'm the type of person where I have like 20/20 vision. Like, I could see anything from a very far distance. I could read. Never had anything wrong with my eyes. Never so much as been to an eye doctor. I've never had to go to an eye doctor. I've never had anything wrong with my eyes. I carried vision insurance, not because I needed to, but because it was cheap. Why not? Hey, you know but I never needed glasses, for as long as I've been here. I just celebrated my 30th birthday. Never needed to go to the eye doctor. But yeah, so I wound up noticing that my vision was starting to change. When I would wake up and try to open my eyes, I noticed that even after my eyes were open, that it still took me a minute to see, and it would just be black. My eyes would be completely wide open, but I couldn't see nothing. There was no light coming into my eyes. I couldn't tell. I knew where I was because I knew where I fell asleep, but I couldn't see, and I would have to, there was days where I would just have to just lay there until, my sight restored. And it probably lasts like a minute to 2 minutes. So to you, I know that may not seem a while, like long, like, oh yeah, that's nothing, but it is something when you can't see, like that's scary, and for a while it did it, but it didn't do it as long, and I just brushed it off, like maybe I'm just tired, maybe I'm exhausted, maybe I just need more rest, just brushing it off, because at that time I had been doing so much, and I just brushed it off. So as time went on, I want to say for about a week, I noticed that it started progressively getting worse. And at that point, I told my husband about it. And from the jump, he was worried, and he was like, all right, bet we need to go to the doctor, And I was like, nah, I'm good. Because mind you, that once my sight restored, as long as I didn't close my eyes for a long period of time, I was good. I didn't feel sick. I didn't feel like anything was wrong with me. Nothing. Other than like the normal headaches I would get. We tend to get headaches, headaches from stress, headache, if you don't eat enough or whatever, the hunger headaches and stuff like that. So everything that was just happening, I was just ruling it out on me not getting enough rest, because I was working like crazy. I was stressing like crazy because, like I said, my baby had just, started going through these phases of seizures. So I was like stressing a lot. So yeah, that's kind of like what I was ruling my symptoms out to be. I was like, all right, maybe I just need to get a night's rest. So I wound up sending my kids away for, I want to say like a week or so. They wound up going away to stay with their grandmother for the summer or whatever. So it was over their summer, so they weren't in school. So they wound up staying with their grandmother, and I remember that it was time to go pick them up. So the night that before I went to go get them, I remember I had fell asleep on the couch, and my husband had came down to wake me up. And when he went to wake me up, when I opened my eyes, mind you, he had already known about me not being able to see. When he went to go wake me up, my head was turned in the opposite direction from where he was, and he was like crouched down, over me, like he was standing over me. He was standing over me, but I was looking in the opposite direction because I couldn't see. And slowly, when my vision started restoring, I then turned my head to him. At that point, he was like, nah, we're not waiting, nothing. We headed straight to the emergency room. He said, put your shoes on. We ain't waiting no more. Let's go. So we put our shoes on, whatever. We head over to the closest emergency room, which was off of Hillendale Drive in Atlanta. So we wind up going to that hospital. I'm not gonna say his name because I don't know if I can say that, and whatever. So we wind up going to the hospital or whatever, And when I get to the hospital, yo, I kid y'all, this was like the worst experience I had in my life. So when we pulling into the parking lot or whatever, I had my head back on the seat, resting my head or whatever. But when we pulled into the parking lot, when I lifted my head, I could see. But when I lifted my head, it just started going black. So I was like, no. I told David about it. We put the car in park, we hop out, we go in. When we go in, I'm telling all the nurses and doctors what it is. I'm trying to explain it the best way that I can explain it, because I really don't know. How do you explain to someone that your vision is going black? And I didn't really know how to explain it at the time. So what happened? So when we get in there, I tell the registration what happened. I tell triage what happened. So they wind up taking me back, and I wind up having to tell the doctors what was happening. So time goes on or whatever, they go run some tests, and they come back, they say, oh yeah, it's your iron. Your iron's low. Y'all, my iron's been low since all my life. Pretty much as far as I know, I've always had low iron. So I wound up going back. They said, it's still low iron, so maybe we'll just, put some blood in you, what they call a blood transfusion, and it should, you should be fine. So already it's not sounding right, but you know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, whatever, we'll rule that out. So I wound up getting 2 blood transfusions. And because it took a while, I kept going to sleep in between them or whatever. But every time a doctor would come in, I would tell them, look, I can't see you. Can you wait a minute before you start talking? Because like I said, it would take me a minute to see. So after the first blood transfusion, I told David, I was like, I don't think that's the problem, because hey, I still can't see. So he's concerned or whatever. So these fools had the audacity to tell me, oh, well, if you want, we can admit you. You got insurance. This hospital only cared that I had medical insurance. You know what I'm saying? They made me literally feel like I was pretty much only welcome because I had that. The whole visit, that's all they kept referencing was my medical insurance. So they wound up admitting me because we were still complaining. They were for certain that it was the blood, it was my low iron. So I'm like, no, it can't be that. It's got to be something else. These doctors weren't looking in my eyes. They weren't focused on my eyes. They didn't do anything. I'm not there for nothing else. I'm there because I can't see. And you go do everything but look at the main source. My eyes are here. You didn't go by them. You didn't look at them and nothing. So time goes on. I'm admitted into the hospital, and I just get tired of waiting or whatever. And I wind up hearing the nurse come in saying that the doctor is, getting ready to discharge me. And I just snapped. And I'm like, how he's going to discharge me? I still haven't gotten better. I've had 2 blood transfusions. It's been hours. This doctor, he is not fixing the problem. I said, that may be a problem, but that's not the problem of why I'm here. My husband agrees with me. I'm crying because I can't see. So the nurse, she goes out, before she leaves. She was a really nice lady. She goes out and she tells me, everything that you just told me, when I go back and get him, you tell him everything. Tell him exactly what you feel, because if you don't feel like you're getting the treatment that you need, then he needs to be aware of that. So I calm myself down. She goes out. She gets the doctor guy. At this time, I had my mama on the phone. My mama lived out in LA. So I had my mom on the phone or whatever, and I'm telling my mom, he not listening. He keep referencing my insurance. He don't care. He gave me a blood transfusion when I don't think this problem is being caused by my blood, so on and so forth. So my mom's hearing me crying. My mom is getting frustrated because she, so far away. She in LA. I'm in, Atlanta. She can't get to me right now. So the doctor comes in. My husband starts talking. And then, he's explaining it to him. And then the doctor talks to me. And I'm like, I don't feel like you're doing your job. I remember I screamed at him. I said, you keep doing all this stuff. You haven't looked in my eyes. Look at my eyes. Tell me, what do you see? What is happening? And I remember saying that to him. And the man had the audacity to tell me, well, we don't have an eye center here, so I wouldn't be able to tell you if anything's wrong with your eyes. Why not tell me that hours ago? Why not tell me that instead of wasting my time? So that was like it, because he just kept referencing the insurance. He was like, but if you want, we can keep you, we can keep you longer, you got insurance, we'll run some more tests, I can call another hospital. No, if this ain't the hospital I need to be at because you can't help me, I don't need to be here. Why am I gonna stay? I need to take my insurance where they can help me, right? So my mom's on the phone, she's like cutting it off, and she's asking all these questions. My mama grilling him, like my mama straight grilling him. Like she's like saying all this stuff and, telling him that they can't, legally discharge me without, if, I'm saying, with all this stuff going on. And basically it can't, like, she was grilling him so hard that he literally looked at me and whispered to me, like, what does she do? Like, what does she do for a living? Like, she's not, like, basically saying, like, she ain't supposed to know all this information that she knows. Like what do you think? I ain't, trying to make it into a racist thing, but you don't think black mamas know stuff? Like, you don't think mama's supposed to know stuff? Like, yeah, my mama's a smart cookie. So basically she grilling him like, nah, bro, you trying to discharge my kid and you ain't fixed nothing. So he wound up saying that he can keep me, and I refused. I told him to discharge me out of here. I'm still crying to my mom or whatever, like, and my husband while I'm leaving. My mom's like, you need to go here, here, and here. And I'm just like, you know what, I'm good. I just need to go get my kids, because mind you, I hadn't gone get my kids yet. I had to go there first. So I wound up telling her, I'll wind up, I'll go see an eye doctor when I after I get my kids. I was going back to South Carolina to get my kids. So we get on the road the next day and we go to get our kids. But when I pick up my kids, I stop by an eye doctor to see if they can see who was open. It wound up being on a Sunday. So I wind up seeing who was open and went to an eye doctor and I explained to them what was happening. And they told me that because I wound up going to an optometrist, and because I don't know doctors or whatever, like eye doctors as far as that goes, like I didn't know it was a difference. So I wound up going to see an optometrist, and when I explained to the optometrist what was happening, she directed me to go see an ophthalmologist. So I wind up going and mind y'all, like I said, it was on Sunday. So I wind up looking for an ophthalmologist that was open on Sunday, and unfortunately nobody was open on Sunday. So I told my husband, I was like, okay, well, we're obviously on the right path to get this figured out. Let's just take the kids home, and tomorrow I'll go figure this junk out. So my husband called out for work. We wind up going at like 8 o'clock in the morning to the closest ophthalmologist that we could find. I literally Googled it. So I wind up finding a Dr. Glass. I think he out in Chambly, and I instantly made an appointment. I got insurance, so I instantly made an appointment with him. He wind up getting me in like an hour later or whatever. He said I could just come in. So I wind up going, and I explained to him what was going on. He was like, interesting. So he wind up dilating my eyes or whatever, and he does it. And before he does it, I see him looking into my eyes, like he's flashing some stuff in my eyes or whatever. And I noticed that when he got over to this eye, like he just kept going back to it. This was before he discharged, before he dilated it or whatever. So he kept going back to one eye more than the other. But he said, everything was fine after, but he went ahead and just dilated my eyes. So he wound up taking us back to the waiting room to wait for my eyes to completely dilate before he can move on. And I remember when I got back out to the waiting room that I told my husband, I said, babe, something's not right. I was like, because he said that everything was fine, he's just going to dilate my eyes to look further, but the look on his face told me something different. So after, you know, a few minutes had passed or whatever, my eyes, I guess, was good enough, so he came back out and got me and my husband. So I'm sitting in a chair, he's looking in my eyes, he's taking a little longer than everything being okay would be, but he kept going back to one eye more than the other. It was on this side, he kept going back to this eye more than this side. So he winds up turning off all the lights. Or whatever, and I remember him saying, okay, give me 1 second, I'm gonna jot this stuff down. So he goes and he's writing on his pad or whatever, and he's just writing all this stuff. So he then sits back in his chair, and I'm looking at my husband the whole time, like, why he had his back turned. I'm just shaking my head like something's wrong. So he winds up saying, like, okay, so I'm not going to tell you that everything's okay, and I'm not going to tell you that it's not serious, because it is serious. He says, what you have is idiopathic intracranial hypertension. And then I'm looking like, okay, what is that? Like, I ain't never heard that before, but I know hypertension means high blood pressure. So I'm just thinking it's just high blood pressure. But then I also know, you know, in like cranial was brain. So I kind of just put those together, but I needed to know what it fully meant. Like, what are you saying right now? And he basically told me like what it was. He's like, you have a large amount of fluid on your brain and your spine. And from there, I went blank. Like, I was gone. I didn't hear nothing else. I instantly cried. I'm crying. My husband's in the corner crying, trying to keep himself together. Like, he's trying to, you know, get more out of the doctor, like what's happening or whatever. I just couldn't stop crying. I remember that moment. Like, I couldn't stop crying. All I kept saying is, this man is saying something is wrong with my brain. like I'm like, wait, what's the cure? Like, what are we doing? Like, what you about to do from this? Like, what are we saying? What's happening? So he winds up giving me like on a prescription note, he says that I'm gonna write this diagnosis down. He says, I'm gonna give you a couple hours to contact a neurologist. If you cannot find a neurologist, this was his words, if you cannot find a neurologist to fit you in this week, it was Monday. So basically he said, if I can't find a neurologist to put me on the schedule by Friday, that I need to immediately go to the emergency room. And I needed to hand him that paper, which was my diagnosis. I'm crying. I couldn't stop crying. I cannot stop crying. I kind of want to cry now, but I can't stop crying. So I'm shaking. My husband's hugging me. All I could think of was my kids. So I remember walking out the room. I'm going to the checkout desk. I'm still not hearing all the stuff he's saying, but I know my husband is listening. And I remember that the receptionist lady was like, is everything okay? You know, like, his waterworks is just happening. So she was like, I just remember shaking my head. No, didn't even say a word. I'm like I'm blank. Like, I'm still blank. I'm still in shock of what this man just told me. So she was like, I want to hug you. So we hugged or whatever. I let her hug me. She was like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. I don't know if she's seen the prescription paper, but you know, that felt like that she was, you know, embracing the moment. So mind y'all, I wasn't on the best of terms with my mom at the time, but when I left out of that place at that time, given the situation, the first thing I said to my husband, mind y'all, my eyes were still dilated, I still couldn't see, so I couldn't see my phone. I said, call my mom. I was like, David, which number is my mom? Like, I'm putting the phone in his face. Like, which number is my mom? Like, he dialed the number for me. I put it up into my ear. Goes to voicemail. I'm leaving a voicemail. Mom, call me back. 911. So I call her again. I leave that message. I call her again. Mom, call me back. 911. Called her twice. I told David, text her. Mom, call me back. 911. And then I think when when my eyes started getting better, I texted her again in a group chat that had me, her, and my aunts and my sister in it. And I said, hey, anybody talk to my mom today? Tell her to call me back 911. So they trying to figure out what's wrong, but they're not really saying anything. But I'm not really saying anything. So I finally get my mom on the phone, and I tell her what's happening. They saying I have a large amount of fluids in my brain and my spine. And, and I told her diagnosis. And she cried, She cried, but I knew she was booking the first flight out. I told my sisters and my aunts what was going on. They was immediately in prayer action. My sister was immediately on the road from North Carolina to Georgia. Like, all hands was on deck at that point. Mind y'all, I just got my kids back to Georgia, so they was at home. They was at home. I think they was still asleep or whatever they was doing. They was chilling at home while I went to go get that handled. So I David wound up calling a few neurologists we couldn't get in right away. And I knew later on that day I had to get my daughter to her neurologist appointment. So I was trying to figure out, okay, should I wait to go to the emergency room until I took her to her neurologist appointment? Or should, you know what I'm saying? I was trying to wait, like I needed to be mom, but I also needed to take care of what I just found out about myself. And at that point, I was just thinking about my kid. I was like, I bet I'll take her to her neurologist. Let me figure out what was going on and what kind of tests they wanted to run or whatever. And then I'll shoot to the emergency room because I know I'm being there all night. So David was like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm not in pain or nothing. I mean, I'm good. So I wanted to tell my mama that. My mama wasn't having it. So me and David, like an hour or so later, we just decided, okay, you drop me off at the emergency room. I'm going to be there for a couple hours. You go run the baby and then come back. Tell me what happened. That's the benefits of having two parents or whatever. So I get to the emergency room. I wound up going to Grady. I want to go into Grady Memorial because that's like considered like the best, the best hospital. So I figured, I didn't want to go to another hospital and they not have everything that I needed. So I go to Grady and there's like so many people in there. Grady is always packed. If y'all from Atlanta, y'all know Grady is always packed. So I wind up going to Grady. And I think like after an hour or so of being in there, I wind up being like, okay, nah, I don't know if whatever this new condition is gonna take me out. Like, I don't want to research it because I don't know if I'm about to die or anything. So I wind up going up to the nurse's desk and I asked the lady, I said, excuse me, can you tell me how much longer is the wait? And she said that it would be like another 4 hours minimum. I cried. I think some tears started coming out my eyes. And all I could think of is, I don't want to die in y'all lobby with all these sick people. I'm sick too, but these people sound like they was about to cough up a lung, So I was like, no. So I whipped out that prescription paper. I was like, 4 hours? Are you serious? I was like, my doctor told me to give this to somebody. I was like, I didn't. I was like, I have a large amount of fluid on my brain and my spine. I was like, do I really have to wait 4 hours for that? And the nurse, she was like, well, how do you know that's what you have? And I was like, I pulled out the paper. And she looked at that paper and she looked at me. And she pulled up my chart and she immediately took me back to the back. They started the triage situation and I didn't leave out the back. She immediately put me on a bed. So at that time, that kind of got me scared too. So I'm like, this damn paper got power at this point. So I get in the back and I get on the bed and I remember when they rolled me back to like the room because they was cleaning my room. So I was like on the outside waiting for my room to get finished cleaning. the doctor, he had came over to me. He said, hey, Miss June, they gave me this paper for you, and I just want to know who you got it from. He looked like he was a younger doctor or whatever. So he looked like he was a new doctor. Let me say that. He looked like he was a new doctor fresh out of med school. And I told him, I was like, yeah, I gave them that paper because the ophthalmologist told me that I had fluids on my brain and my spine. And this man told me he can't see that. He can't determine that. Yeah. Okay. That's all I said. Okay. By this time, this was the last time I ever talked to this doctor. Like within the hour of me getting in my room, I had the neurologist team by my bedside. I had the eye center from the emergency department by my bedside. All hands was like on deck, and that's not when I knew things hit the fan, but that's when it confirmed it, like really confirmed it for me. Like everything in that moment was confirmed, because the neural team don't really come for stuff, stuff that's not that serious. So they came, the ophthalmologist team, they came. They wound up dilating my eyes again, and they confirmed everything that Dr. Glass said, and that's how I got diagnosed with that. And even when I thought it was over, it wasn't. More tests had to be done. I had to get what they call lumbar punctures, where they try to release the fluids off of your spine and stuff. To insert the needles and stuff. That was crazy. That was painful. That was the worst experience in my life, because they tried to go in blind. They didn't do it with a machine. They didn't do it with the machine. So they wind up, admitting me. They wind up admitting me after that failed lumbar puncture, because they needed to run more tests. They need to run like a lot of tests. It was so many tests. And they wanted to rule out certain things. They wanted to make sure I didn't have any blood clots in my head and whatnot. So I went through a lot of MRIs, a lot of everything, just them looking at my brain and them, trying to confirm it. They wind up doing the lumbar puncture a second time, which was painful all over again. They wind up telling me, the pressure on your spine isn't supposed to be above a 20. And mine was sitting at a 36. So yeah. So they wind up, doing a second lumbar puncture and releasing some of that pressure. But since all of that was just the beginning of it. They told me what they would have to do when they put me on the medications if it didn't work. So basically, I am on medication now on a day-to-day to see if, my body can naturally release the fluids out of my body. And then if it doesn't, then I would have to undergo neurosurgery, where they would have to insert tubes in my head, which is something that I ain't with at all, nah, I'm not with that. So yeah, so far that's been just, that alone has been just the diagnosis. Since all that happened on July 8th, it still hasn't gotten easier. My headaches are still bad. I still get pressure behind my eye. And the worst part about all this is every time something happens that I know is caused by this condition, I now get anxiety from it, because all I can think of is having to go on a table and have, surgery from it. Yeah, that's all I can think of, this has caused my anxiety to go through the roof, like dead serious. And they tell me like, oh, keep your stress down. How can I not stress? Like, look what I'm dealing with. Yo, I never had like more than a cough, and now I'm dealing with the whole neurological disorder, and not on top of that, but I gotta make sure my kids straight. I gotta make sure my baby's straight. Like, I gotta make sure that what's going on with her, with her seizure disorder. I gotta make sure like every decision that I make is gonna benefit them, So I haven't made a decision to have that surgery, and I won't make that decision as long as those pills are working. I will not have that surgery. But yeah, I just can't do that, because I feel like if I go on that table and make that decision to have that invasive type surgery, like, I won't do that. I won't do that to my kids, like, I may not be like best mom in the world, but I'm their mom, and I wouldn't no. So yeah, so living with this intracranial hypertension is like, I haven't really found 100% way to deal with it, but every day I'm dealing with it. Every day I'm living with it. I got my good days, I got my bad days. Sometimes my head hurts so bad that taking a 800 milligram ibuprofen don't even work. And if you've ever taken an 800 milligram ibuprofen and you're old enough to withstand that, then you know how good those things work. So if those ain't working, y'all can only imagine what I'm going through, like dead serious. Sorry, I'm at work, y'all. Like, yeah. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to deal. I'm trying to make sure that, I'm here for my kids every day, but I do realize that this, is making me reevaluate certain situations in my life. It makes me want to, I don't know. I'm trying to like let go of a lot of stress in my life and just make sure that I'm living every day for the right reasons. Like, I don't want to be stressed no more. I don't want to, accept, things that I would normally accept, and I just want to make the right decisions about my life, because, they say like hypertension and stuff like that is like a silent killer. I want to live my best life every day while I'm here. I just want to smile. I want to be happy. I don't want to continue to let this affect me and how I live. I want to be happy again. Just want to be happy again, I feel like this put a type of fear in me that I never felt. I was always so fearless, and like nothing could ever shake me up. I was good, but this, it scares me. It does. But yeah, so that's my truth. you know. I'm sorry that we haven't been posting, but you know, we did have to pull back. We had to focus on our medical stuff. So now that our medical stuff is kind of like smoothing out or whatnot, we'll be back on the channel posting on a regular. You'll start getting more music from Nia J. Also my son Antoine, he's singing and rapping now, so hopefully he'll bless this channel with his music. KK KK, Dae Dae, and Erie, they just being the babies of the bunch. They'll have a lot of videos and fun content for y'all too coming up, so make sure y'all like, share, and comment. Show y'all love down below, you know. Thank y'all for sitting here and listening to my story. It's all the truth. It's 100% me. I just opened completely up, you know. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Me nor her, neither one of us asked for this, you know. Neither one of us asked for this, but we're both living with it. We're gonna fight through it, no matter how much this thing, you know, hurts. You know, we gonna get through this, and with y'all love and y'all support, we're gonna continue to push through it. We're gonna get these videos knocked out for y'all. Hopefully I can get the girls to vlog some more, because they've been asking about it. So hopefully they ready to go, and hopefully they ready to record. If y'all haven't checked them out on Dub Smash and stuff, like I'll get them to post their stuff below so y'all can go follow them. But yeah, just thank y'all for y'all support. Thank y'all for y'all understanding. We are back. Come the first week of November, or like the second week after November. In November, you definitely start getting more videos. Should be the first week in November. Y'all start getting way more videos from us. We'll start posting again on a regular basis. No more, you know, going months without talking to us or seeing us. But yeah, thank y'all so much. We appreciate all your love and support. Don't forget, once again, to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification button to get more of Everydaysjune. We appreciate all the love and support, and I will see y'all in the next freaking video.